but I'm here. Thanks.
Let us wait for a few minutes for also others to join in. And by the time we all can take some moments to settle in with our breath. All right. As you all have gathered here, first let's connect with our teacher, Lord Buddha, the Dhamma that he shared. And let's begin the session with paying homage to our teacher. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang namasami. Just before beginning the session, I would shortly like to introduce myself. I'm Bhikkhuni Avera on this side. Welcome you all for the Sutta study this afternoon on behalf of Dhammadinnā Monastery. And let's start for a few minutes connecting with ourselves and creating a space so that the Sutta studies come and go deeper within us, leading us towards some good realizations. Yes. So I invite you all to sit straight in a comfortable position and close your eyes and focus on your breath. To settling in, you may first take a couple of long, deep in and out breath, connecting comfortably with your body. Opening our hearts and mind to receive the Dhamma that flows, the Dhamma which has been compassionately offered by the Blessed One and passed down by the Sangha. Connecting with the beautiful qualities of the Dhamma and knowing that, oh, this Dhamma is indeed timeless, so deep, so pure, based on the truth, to be experienced by the wise. And whatever that would come my way today, may it be for my long-term welfare and happiness. May it provide ease, well-being. May it help me in every way possible. To be a part of fourfold Sangha, one needs to listen to the true Dhamma. It's the beautiful quality of the Sangha that they possess appropriate attention. So are we here sitting together, listening to the true Dhamma shared, observing and focusing on it with appropriate attention. and with the willingness to practice the path straightforwardly, diligently, with sincere heart. Having thus connected our heart with the Dhamma, with respect and reverence, appreciating ourselves that we possess the quality, the opportunity also to benefit from the Dhamma. Also, respect for the speaker, as I say. These are the beautiful crowns that make it possible for us, on listening to the true Dhamma, experience the fruits of what has been shared. May it be so. On establishing ourselves thus with the breath and settling in within our bodies with a calm mind, I invite you all to pay attention on the discourse. Today I chose Majjhima Nikaya 44, Chula Vedala Sutta, a shorter set of question and answers, which is a very common sutta and often discussed by monastics, lay people. And being on the last minute guest here speaking Dhamma, I felt like why not we discuss about question and answers which were held in the past. That can lead us towards unburdensome heart, towards liberating side. So with that intention and with respect and reverence for the Bhikkhuni Sangha as well, staying at the Bhikkhuni monastery, I chose the Buddha's praised Dhammadinnā, the nun, as foremost Dhamma teacher among his nun disciples. And in this discourse, she answers the questions put to her by a layman, Vishakha, who, according to commentary, was a former husband, a merchant of Rajgah, and a non-returner. Just checking in again, is my voice audible? Yes.
Yeah, it works. It's great.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's keep it more like a discussion kind of a zone this today afternoon. Glad that the voice is working well, the live streaming is going smoothly. So hopefully we can have more insights through our discussions. So any comments or anything which anybody would like to share is welcome. Yes. So I also chose this sutta as it matches with our Vasa theme, this green retreat, which is walking the path of liberation and practicing, alluring the benefits of practicing Dhamma and Vinaya. And what we say by benefiting is also experiencing the fruits. And the fruits of Dhamma, the first fruit, which is Sotapanna, the stream enterer, is mostly related with self-identification and getting freedom from self-identification alongside uncertainty and what is the next one? I'm just having it in Pali running.
You mean once returner?
No, stream enterer.
Right. Sorry, you said what was the next one? I thought the next one was once returner, but
Oh, yes. Stream enterer, then once returner, and then non-returners, and then there are the ones who are unbinded. True. Yes. But like the self-identification is kind of a thread which goes all along, because it's very deeply associated with clinging and grasping. As we can see further in the suttas, we continue. So like for the introduction, I have heard that on one occasion, the Blessed One was staying near Rajgaha in the bamboo forest, the squirrel sanctuary. Then Vishakha, the lay follower, went to Dhammadinnā the nun, and on arrival, having bowed down to her, sat to one side. Self-identification. As he was sitting there, he said to her, self-identification, it is said, lady. Which self-identification is described by the Blessed One? So, like, I'm not sure about the state of enlightenment that Vishakha was carrying at this moment, but it is so beautiful to notice the humbleness in the tone. Like, even though he might be knowing many of things, but how they approached the Sangha is, oh, venerable. Self-identification, something like that is said. What is described by the Blessed One? And then Ayya Dhammadinnā says, there are these 5 clinging aggregates, friend Vishakha: the form clinging aggregate, the feeling clinging aggregate, the perception clinging aggregate, the fabrication clinging aggregate, the consciousness clinging aggregate. These 5 clinging aggregates are the self-identification described by the Blessed One. Wow. Goes so well. Does anybody have any comments till here? We all have seen this, right?
yeah. Well,
Who is the she?
She is Ayya Dhammadinnā, the foremost disciple of the Lord Buddha,
Thank you.
teaching the Dhamma.
I haven't heard it translated as the fabrications.
Yes, I've been through like Sutta Central, different like the 4 venerables who have translated Majjhima Nikaya 44, and they have different translation for the word sanya, like seeing the recognition aggregate affected by clinging and the thought aggregate affected by clinging. Like these are the translations, 2 translations which are different in different translations. Uses recognition aggregate as perceptions, like perceiving how we see, or also recognizing how we see things externally. The suitable, similar, and the thought aggregate, like here Venerables translated the thought like sankhara, which is often like the factors of how we are responding, like by our body, speech, or mind. It usually takes it on 3 level, but I suppose how Bhante have thought must be the thought are the ones who lead the actions via body, speech, and mind. So also feels like a suitable translation to me.
Mm.
And checking on Bhante Sujato's translation, here Bhante uses perception as sankhara, but then for perceptions for sanya, and choices for sankhara upadana khanda. So choices again means what actions do we choose to do by our body, speech, and mind. So again, a relevant translation. Then we have one more, Bhante Ananda Jyoti's translation, where he uses a different term, like for clinging aggregates, all of a whole. Like he uses it as fuel for attachment.
Mm.
So he says the form constituent that provides fuel for attachment, the feeling constituent that provides fuel for attachment, the perceptions constituent that provides fuel for attachment, the mental processes. Again, Bhante uses the mental processes as the base for fabrications for the rest of the karma. Just I kind of resonate with the translation here, as it just talks about the overall thing so that it's easier to also focus on, okay, if I'm doing anything with my verbal speech here, for instance, then how am I clinging on to form with the people I'm speaking with, the feelings, everything that is associated with verbal communication, for instance. So in that way, it gives a broader space to reflect upon and to relate with how deep we can go. So in detail, we see other translations, as Venerables have mentioned. It's all helpful.
Mm. Is it correct to think of the aggregate that is often translated as perception, but not only, as sort of the function that recognizes things? So if I saw a cat, I would know it's a cat because I've seen the cat many, many times in the past, and this particular aggregate would notice that, oh yeah, a cat, because it's similar to the history of cats that I've seen. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. It's
Got
like
it.
how we are relating with the
Mm.
old. Like, as you mentioned, recognizing is another word. So
Mm.
the sharp ears, this kind of a face, fluffy body, or any body, 4 legs, cat.
Mm.
Our mind is designed to make sense out of things, and that is the aggregate basically. But then we cling on, oh no, this cat is only white. Then that's like holding on to, then grasping on deeply with the concepts.
Good. And then the fabrications one, or at least it's translated fabrications, sometimes volitional formations, is like choices, right? Like our decisions to do something, whether mind, speech, or body. That's that aggregate. Got it.
Like, because we are always performing our actions, and it's like, it's the analogy which Venerable gives here is like fabricating or stitching
Mm.
our actions. So like fabricating our life here, we can say, our karma, we can say, with the 3 threads of body, speech, and mind. So what
Good.
we're doing next is like getting tied with the karma.
Yeah. And then how should we understand consciousness then? Um, is it sort of what wraps everything together and connects it, or I don't know.
Um, how I understand it's basically the awareness from the 6 senses.
Mm.
Even
Okay.
see it just passes through, right? So what has been seen, what has been heard, what has been sensed by a nose. So all those are like the gates via which the information can further process down and can get stored or act upon. Like consciousness is another form of aggregate, which
Got
is
it.
taken into consideration.
Cool. Thank you.
So here how we seen is self-identification. Saya Dhammadinnā just shared that 5 clinging aggregates forms an identity. And these 5 clinging aggregates are the self-identification described by the Blessed One. Saying, yes, lady, Vishakha the lay follower delighted and rejoiced in what Dhammadinnā, the nun, had said. Then he asked her a further question. The origination of self-identification, it is said, lady, which origination of self-identification is described by the Blessed One. So here it shows that Vishakha has some experience. He's aware of the right view. He's aware of origination and passing away also, like we can see ahead. If somebody's like he's sensitive, it's not the constant thing that is there all the time, but their origination of self-identification is there. So he questions, and Aya says, the craving that makes for further becoming, accompanied by passion and delight, relishing now here and now there, i.e., the craving for sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, craving for non-becoming. This friend Vishakha is the origination of self-identification described by the Blessed One. So, like, if we just see it in terms of 4 noble truths here, it's very prominently seen, like how the first noble truth, where Buddha talks about the clinging aggregates and how clinging onto the aggregates causes suffering. And then Vishakha asks, origination of self-identification. Where does the origination is? Which brings us to the second noble truth. What is the cause of suffering? What is the cause that we are clinging on to these aggregates? And here Aya Dhammadinnā shares that, the further becoming, the craving that comes, that makes for further becoming, which is like the passion and the delight that we find in the aggregates, relishing now here and now there, and craving for basically 3 things: sensual pleasure, craving for becoming, and craving for non-becoming. This is the origination of self-identification. You can see in our lives also. As soon as we listen to the Dhamma sharing, some enlightening Sutta translation, we feel like, saints, almost enlightened, so close. And then we come back, again, there is some kind of a craving that is still following, that the heart is not free from. And it's again good to reflect on what identity view that I am carrying for myself. What is the craving that binds me to this thing? What is the craving for becoming that I am into? What is the craving for non-becoming that still has not been relinquished? That keeps origination, that keeps the space for origination of self-identification.
So craving for liberation, that's not good either. And yeah.
So like craving for liberation is also seen as a desire, and like it's a wish for true happiness. And that's why, because it is a skillful desire, it's considered to be the part of the path, because it's leading us somewhere. It's like it's giving the energy to the intention that we have for our happiness, long-term happiness. So it's not just empty craving that I want. No, but we are doing something meaningful with that desire. We are being sensitive to where we are stuck. So if I'm asking for if I'm stuck in the craving for liberation, I see what liberation I'm looking for. So it becomes the path of the path. Part of the path.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
And it's useful also because if I say, oh, clinging to aggregates is suffering, craving is suffering, so I sit idle here hoping that I'll be liberated. That's not going to work either, because we know we are still stuck in the same level of ignorance that we are now. And that shackle to the ignorance is to be broken. And it just doesn't come by wishing, but it comes by comprehending the truth, by knowing, by being aware of what we are doing that is extra and unnecessary, that is being burdensome, that is causing me suffering. And as soon as we become sensitive and go deeper and deeper and subtle with what's happening, why I'm still not liberated, the path becomes shorter and shorter and lighter and lighter. Hope that helps.
Mm.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Vishakha, after understanding, oh, origination of self-identification, oh, it is thus, okay. He asks, the cessation of self-identification. The cessation of self-identification, it is said, lady, which cessation of self-identification is described by the Blessed One. Saya says, the remainderless fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release and letting go of that very craving. This friend Vishakha is the cessation of self-identification described by the Blessed One. So here we slowly came into the third noble truth as well with regards to self-identification, which is the cessation, it is said. Like also noting that when one is sensitive and abides in the Dhamma, he knows the origination and cessation or arising and the passing away nature of all aggregates, would say. And here he's very sensitive because, again, identification is something which is created and associated with the self. What is the cessation? How is the cessation met? Which connects with Elaine's question about craving for liberation. How does it comes? And it can be seen like remainderless fading and cessation, a complete end and letting go of that very craving is the cessation of the self-identification, which is described by the Blessed One. So yes, this is where we need to be headed. And oftentimes we feel like, it feels like no more craving has been left. Like, especially after eating a lot of, for instance, ice cream or sweets or pizza, I feel like, oh, now I'm content. Now the next step is just liberation. Come that way. And we have to be very subtle and sensitive, going deeper and deeper. Where am I still stuck? Where am I feeling comfortably abiding in samsara is a good thing. Yeah. So understanding and appreciating the answer from Venerable Avera Dhammadinnā, Vishakha further asks, the way of practice leading to the cessation of self-identification. The way of practice leading to the cessation of self-identification, it is said, lady. Which way of practice leading to the cessation of self-identification is described by the Blessed One? What is the path? This is the practice leading. This is the practice. What is it that is described by the Blessed One? Precisely this noble eightfold path. Right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This, friend Vishakha, is the way of practice leading to the cessation of self-identification described by the Blessed One. So he asked about the path then. It's not that easy. Oh, I see my craving and I let go. It just doesn't come like that. But one needs to also develop the path. One needs to understand, okay, if not this, then how will I survive? How will I sustain? What is the better way, which does not bring suffering, but is easeful in accordance with the Dhamma? And that's where the Noble Eightfold Path comes in, with which, as we keep aligning and going deeper, we can experience, oh, yeah, makes sense. I can let go of my old ways of dealing with the samsara, of entangling with the world. And yes, there are Arya ways, noble ways of dealing with similar situation, which brings ease, which are not bringing suffering and stress and tumbling, but more of a peace, more of a calm. That's where it goes. Oftentimes there are different translation here for right resolve, which are also right thought or right intention. We can compare, and it, it also makes sense because like samma sankappa, it says, but like the thought is the origination of any resolve to come in, because it is like a seed. Oh, I think this is good for me to do, but then it is still not a part of the deep process. It's just an vague idea. For instance, we all have some good wishes for ourselves that, oh, this new year, it's good for me to wake up early. It's good for me to not party much. Good for me to give extra effort in sutta study. These are all kind of a thought. And these are all good thoughts, right thoughts, appreciated thoughts. And also, like, one more which is added is right intention. And this is also fulfilled because intention comes with a will that, oh, this is something good and I'm willing to do it. But it's still not a part of resolve, you see, because we always say New Year resolution. And those resolution is like the combination of both things, the right thought and also the intention. And that right thought and right intention mixed with some willingness makes it, oh, I resolve. And that there is a commitment that I thought something, I'm intended to do it, willing to do it. And that's how we keep on following it. As long as we can, be it just 1 week. Yes. And hopefully for a year. Like, yeah. That's how I connected with the results. Also choose this translation to connect deeper with what the essence is. Where are we going with it? Then is it the case, lady, that clinging is the same thing as 5 clinging aggregates, or is it something separate? Now it's a good question. I like the curiosity of Vishaka and how the deeply he wishes to know and understand. Oh, is it the same thing? Is clinging and clinging aggregate same? Or is it different, something separate? So friend Vishaka, neither is clinging the same thing as 5 clinging aggregates, nor it is something separate. Whatever desire and passion there is with regards to the 5 clinging aggregates, that is the clinging there. So it's basically just simple aggregates. Like I've heard the talk of Ajahn Mahabua before, and also from Ajahn Man, I guess, where they were talking about how the aggregates are just aggregates. Even in Arahanta, the aggregates remain. What is different for them is they are not clinging onto them. They are not holding. There is no desire and passion, as Venerable Dhammadinnā here describes very beautifully. That they are not craving, or they are not desiring, or they are not passionate about those clinging aggregates, which also can be seen like they are aware about their temporary nature of arising and passing away. And with dispassionate chitta, they see that there is nothing worth holding on to them. So in that way, they are empty of desire and passion. that can bind them with the clinging aggregates and make them suffer in samsara. Does anybody has any comments here? Questions?
Would it be right to say, Aya, that all clinging, all desire is desire of some combination of the five aggregates, one or five of them? And that's kind of what she's saying here, is there's no desire that doesn't involve an aggregate.
Yes, and it's like here what she means is like clinging is the same thing as clinging aggregates, because the aggregates are the ones that we hold on to. So the clinging is still the same because we cannot separate the difference. But then why are we clinging? What is clinging itself? It's like the desire and passion for those aggregates. So in that way, it's separate also from the five aggregates. Yes. Yes, Sharanya.
Good morning, Aya. So I think what you just said and what this one sentence, I don't think I fully comprehended. It says, neither is clinging the same thing as the five clinging aggregates, nor is it something separate. I thought the clinging was the five aggregates. So it sounds like she's actually evading the question. I don't understand what this means. Whatever desire and passion there is with regard to the five clinging aggregates, that is clinging. So isn't the answer that clinging is the five aggregates?
No, that's what he asked. Like that Vishaka asked. So is the clinging is same as five clinging aggregates, or is it something different? And like five clinging aggregates are still something different. As if, like, for instance, this mic here, it's just a mic. It's a part of form clinging aggregate, but what makes the clinging comes into action is the desire and passion for this mic to be.
Okay.
So in a way, it's a part of the five clinging aggregates, but clinging itself is something different. Like clinging is can also be seen as a process.
Right. I was going to say that she's talking about clinging as a verb and as a adjective.
Now we are just complicating it, I think, by going it in the grammar in English. But what she mean is neither clinging is the same thing as five clinging aggregates. Means five clinging aggregates are like form, feelings, perceptions, fabrications, and consciousness. These five, with or without clingings, remains the same. Like even in Arhantas, they work with these five clinging aggregates. Like even Lord Buddha, we see he had some form, he sees forms, feelings, perceptions. He was fabricating karma by body, speech, and mind. He was having some certain consciousness. But what makes it different is whatever desire and passion there is with regards to these five clinging aggregates, that's the clinging there. And that is what we are free, what the Arhants are free from, what the blessed ones are free from. So that can be same thing, but again, it's different because the clinging itself is like rooted in desire and passion for the five clinging aggregates. So, like the five aggregates are pure in and of itself, but we take them as a self in some way or another because of our passions and desire for it, and not understanding how much suffering that this passion causes us. And so we are still into five clinging aggregates. They are not just pure and free from the clinging itself. And that's what here Vishakha was asking, and how Venerable Dhammadinnā guided him. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
So then Vishakha goes a little deeper. And he asks, but lady, how does self-identification view comes about? Why is it coming into existence all in all itself? And now Venerable shares, there is the case, friend Vishakha, where an uninstructed run-of-mill person who has no regards for the noble ones is not well versed or disciplined in their Dhamma, who has no regards for people of integrity, is not well versed or disciplined in their Dhamma, assumes form, example this body, to be self, or self as possessing form, or form as in the self, or the self as in the form. Similarly, he assumes feelings to be self, perceptions to be self, fabrications to be self, consciousness to be self, or self as possessing the consciousness, or consciousness as in the self, or the self as in consciousness. This is how self-identification view comes about. So now, this is very interesting part and often most complicated. Yeah, because like if we can see closely, like especially me coming from some religious background in Hinduism in the past, being Indian, these are the basic concept in which we all keep on wandering into thickets of views as it is said. It's like Atma, Anatma or something. And here I asked Chess that if somebody who's not aware of the disciplines of the Buddha, teachings of the Buddha, or who is not no regards for people of integrity, here can be said like arrogant, conceited, kind of a person who are very righteous and on their own way, and also not well versed or disciplined in their Dhamma. They assumes form to be the self, like this body is self, for example. Or else they have a different belief that there is some self, some light, some soul, for instance, which they which is self, and it is possessing a form. So something self is something external which is possessing a form. And then this says form as in the self. So like form is in the self. Like in the shell of the self, there is a form, or the self as in the form. Like just assuming that, like how the Hollywood or Bollywood movies would show like spirits separating from the body. Like that's how it is in the body, or body is in that spirit. These are like kind of the things we can understand on terms of the form, and then also connecting it with how they assumes feelings to be self, perceptions to be self, fabrications to be self, or consciousness to be self, both in their ways. Like um, if he assumes feelings to be self, or self to be feelings, still a thicket of view which makes it complicated. And we all are kind of going through the same things, I would say, where we are very personally, oh, these are my feelings, you're hurting my feelings. It doesn't matter, but it's just how I'm feeling. So even we don't want to give it much importance, but we cannot also totally separate from it or see it as a different thing that which has just arisen and is subject to passing away. But it becomes so important emotionally, like self, very important, very dear. And yes, it all comes under how the self-identification view comes in. So sometimes we are not aware, but when other person does something which affects us in terms of our feelings or perceptions, or even a scratch on the body can show, oh, my body. By the time we were so separated and free from the perception of self with regards to the form, but suddenly any painful sensation on the body would make, oh no, my dear body went into pain. May this pain not come to me. And all kinds of things. Same for the fabrications.
I May I ask for examples of how you've dealt with self? And for me, uh, death reflections and breaking down the body is one, but still have trouble with it. Lots of trouble.
Yeah, dude, thank you for asking. It's such a beautiful, deep question, would say. And it's like it's a gradual path, I would say, where as we hear the teachings this way and understanding, oh, yes, makes sense, especially as you mentioned about the death and the body contemplation, the 32 parts, it helps us to see that, oh, the form is not self. It's just a way, a vessel that can help me to practice or do something good. And it's not just something I would be having forever, but it has some purpose and intention which I'm fulfilling. So there is a space where we can separate from it, even if it is for an hour in its proper practice. But then we need to grow it deeper and see, oh, what am I craving for? Where is my passion for that self? So sometimes we want something to be happening in a very specific way, but then we should also question back, why am I so deeply passionate about it? What is the clause? And and here also humbleness is a very beautiful practice that comes in, like where we can give space to others to share their ideas, and how quick and how easily we are able to let go of our ways of thinking or being or working, for instance. Can I be humble enough to adapt, to change, to understand? And same like for the feelings, if they are not permanent, then, and if they are just subject to arising and passing away, this other person is also going through something. Can I drop down my burden and be able to serve the other person? Can I be available for other person? Can I also empathize with other person? Can I forgive the other person? So it's like in every step we are breaking the self, where we are trying to be sensitive to the self of others, which is still an illusion, but it's like it's helping us to separate ourselves from our desires and passion about wanting all the signs of happiness and comforts in the world with no distress to follow, no sorrows to come our way.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you.
And like not just to put ourselves in the extreme torture, but understanding that, oh, happiness has arisen, but is subject to pass away. Sorrow has arisen, but is subject to pass away. Can I find joy in also letting go? Can I find joy in serving? Can I find joy in making other feel happy? And sometimes putting however much we can aside and giving space to the world, because it's again how light we can be, how non-self we can be, is what helps us to realize the deeper and deeper entanglements which we are stuck in. Oh, I thought this was the biggest thing I could do, but there is still something more which I can let go of. Then it makes us go into deeper levels of letting go of self-identification. Yes. And it's not just like practicing this way, but in otherwise also practicing concentration about death and body parts, how deep we go in our actions and relationship with the world by our body, speech, and mind with right view. It also helps in our concentration. Like the deeper we can go and see, oh, it's just a brain, it's just a heart, it's just this sensation. What is causing it? And be more and more objective and see it as the third person perspective instead of just getting over it and making it so personal. So it's like a practice which can be developed slowly.
I'm very glad that this tape, because your explanation is really clear. Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank you.
can go back and look at this. So
Sadhu, sadhu. So, also, this is how Venerable Dhammadinnā explained to Vishaka how self-identification view comes into, about when we attach the self with forms, feelings, perceptions, fabrications, and consciousness. That's where this view starts coming in, self, and it starts becoming personal and stronger and bigger and wider and thicker. And suffering follows. And then Vishaka asks, but lady, how does self-identification view not come about? So there is a case where it arises, and it's for us, it's usually very easily arises. And it's letting go, it's not arising, is not really familiar. So here Vishaka very wisely asks the question at right time, right opportunity, like you all. And here Venerable shares, there is the case where a well-instructed disciple of the noble ones, who has regards for noble ones, is well-versed and disciplined in their Dhamma. One who has regards for the people of integrity is well-versed and disciplined in their Dhamma, doesn't assume form to be the self, or the self as possessing form, or self as in form, or the self as in form as in self, or the self as in form. He doesn't assume feelings to be self. He does not assume perceptions to be self. He doesn't assume fabrications to be self. He doesn't assume consciousness to be the self, or the self as possessing consciousness, or consciousness as in the self, or the self as in consciousness. This is how self-identification view does not comes about. Sadhu. So yeah, just I is mentioning about how if somebody does not entangle or engages or assumes that any self coming into action with regards to holding on to form, feelings, perception, fabrication, or consciousness. And that is just the easiest and only way, I would say, to be free from self-identification view. And again, then there are practices which can be helpful. And Vishaka would be asking them ahead if we have some patience. Or if anybody has any feedbacks or question to ask, we can still feel free. Like it's again a practice, because very easily, as soon as somebody gives in us any information, we just takes it so personally. I know or I don't know. And as soon as I know, then it becomes part of a self where we are trying to teach or guide other person. Oh, this is the way, this is how it is. We are also open to learn, but then the self is so deeply rooted because it's becoming the part of our experience, our fabrication, our learning. And we are not unlearning it in any way, but we are just going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. But there comes no end to putting a self aside. And that's where it is said to be getting stuck in the mind, where oftentimes, if you have heard many different teachers of different traditions all saying the same thing, oh, you are so much in mind. You are just going in extremes, either one extreme or the another extreme of very loose or very tight practices. And both ways not helpful. Why? Because they are both rooted in self. We are so deeply doing something without properly understanding how to meet an end. Where is the cessation? Where is the freedom? And that's where here Venerable shares that, oh, one doesn't assume form to be self. Yes, Sharanya, do you have something to say meanwhile?
Well, I was going to ask a question, but my question is very half formed. So I think of all the five aggregates, it's very clear to me the first four, right? Body, feeling, perceptions, and volitional actions. The consciousness piece is perhaps the most subtle for me. And I find that kind of hard to wrap my mind around because it's also the consciousness that uh, that departs with death, right? So they call chitta, but awareness of that chitta is consciousness, right? So, of all the things that will survive death, one would think that consciousness would survive death. And then when it survives death, I think it also creates what comes next. They say that the mind creates what comes next.
Mm.
So, if the consciousness is not I, is there a universal consciousness? I don't know what I'm asking, but I just feel like maybe that's the one thing that actually continues maybe after death.
Thank you for asking. And thank you for uh, going deeper into what you are connecting with and bringing it on the table so that we can all discuss about it and have insights about what you are also thinking, which are, I feel like, kind of question from we almost one or another stage relates with it. And how consciousness is like besides this sutta, there are many suttas where Buddha talks about six senses and their relationships. So he shares, like, for instance, I is a different thing, form is a different thing. What binds this two is I consciousness. Nose is something else, smell is something else, but the consciousness binds the two. And similarly, going deeper, mind is one thing, ideas is one thing, and then intellect, consciousness is what binds the two. So consciousness itself is a very pure process because it's the part of aggregate which helps us to uh, understand and perceive the world and respond to it in any way, needful way. But then taking it as a self, we becomes very, very personal about it. So to understand the difference, like there was this beautiful quote once which I read. I forgot the name of the one who quoted it, but it was like, I actually remember the quote as well, but at that time I was reflecting on consciousness and was finding it difficult, and this quote made it easier. So it was like, we all have tasted the lemon, right? We know its flavor, but the next time we would be tasting the lemon, do we really know how it is going to taste? No, we don't know. We know the lemon tastes sour, but do we know how the next lemon is going to taste? No. It might be sweet, it might be little sweetish sour. So it has very sensitive scale, right? And it's a completely different experience. But if we tie it down with the self, and I know the lemon is sour, period, then it becomes very difficult. That makes us rigid. That puts us into any kind of assumptions that this is this. And we are not really able to let go of the things, the experience that it has as it has arisen and as it is passing away. So even with the ideas, they might arise in mind, there might be any thought that might arise, but the nature is it arises, it stays, and it passes away. What self does is hold on to it, and this is so interesting. I thought it, you know, and then we go on, keep on fabricating, and the more it spreads, the more appreciation or something subtle things it receives from the other person, the more stronger the self gets. So here the consciousness was very subtle part, which was not even related with any kind of self, but our passion for what arise, our desire for wanting something out of it makes us cling to it. And just we are just not being able and sensitive enough to connect. Oh, it has just arisen, it stays, and it passes away. And like there is this need, there is this practice that needs to be developed, which is like sitting with the stability, stillness, with peace, and not wanting to hold on to this and that. And as Venerable Dhammadinnā was sharing, the craving that relish is now here, now there. Such is our mind also. Soon as it wants to hear something, it wants to see something, it wants to eat something, then body wants to rest a little while. And we are on kind of a repeat cycle for a long time, still stuck in the same delusion, just because we are assuming things which are not really the deeper voices, but it feels like, no, it should be done. I have been doing this for so long, and this should be followed, etc., etc. And we get stuck in there. Like if we are really looking for some freedom, then it's good to see how much we can separate, how much self we can put down, and how much we can allow others to also fill in the space. Like it's very subtle to understand and to practice in this way, because it's both downfall can happen in either way. There are different types of conceit that comes. Some are superiority conceits, some are inferiority conceits. We are so giving, we feel like, oh, I'm so good, so grounded, so natural, but we don't realize that, oh, we have somewhere fallen into inferiority conceit, and it's not really helping, but it's becoming painful, because now people are just assuming or expecting things from me which I'm not really happy to do, but am I supposed to do? And we get stuck in different kind of a self there altogether. So if we are looking for the cessation of the self, then we have to be very sensitive and grounded, and also very much connected with our choices about what we are doing, and with the awareness, why are we doing, what is our intention, and then how much I can do it right now so that I am still in the peace. And then we can take it for a question that what went in a way that makes me feel like, no, I'm suffering, I'm struggling here, and I should stop. So all these things are to be known and explored, because our ignorance is subtle, but living mindfully in this way helps to unfold a lot, and to see the limit of where the self comes in. Where the self, enough. So it's like good to explore. And the consciousness is like still how I understand is more related with the six senses, and the consciousness that that binds eyes and the forms, like I mentioned in the other suttas that I connect with of Buddha's teachings. So consciousness is just an act of connecting what we are seeing and how we are perceiving things, but it's like helping us to just connect with the information of how we are perceiving through the six senses. Yes. Hope that helps. Yeah. Sadhu.
Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead. the Noble Eightfold Path. Now again, lady, what is the Noble Eightfold Path? This is the Noble Eightfold Path, friend Vishakha. Right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And then Vishakha asks, is the Noble Eightfold Path fabricated or unfabricated? So Ayada Madina says the Noble Eightfold Path is fabricated. So like here again, fabricated and unfabricated is the kind of translations that I find suitable. But there is also, this is Bhante Anand Jyoti's translation, where Bhante mentions conditioned or unconditioned as the two words. And here Aya says it's conditioned. Similarly, Bhante Sujato mentions this word as also, where is it? No, we came two down. Yes, conditioned or unconditioned. So either ways, how it is meant is like, do we have to do anything, or it is like just the naturally we fall into the path, like many people assume, especially in different traditions or religions, that oh, slowly we have some paramis and something, and there would be naturally pure era happening where we would be aligned with the Noble Eightfold Path, naturally walking into liberation, something like that. So here Aya says no, Noble Eightfold Path is fabricated. We consciously make an effort, consciously put and choose what we want to do, what we do, how much we can do, why we are doing it, all supported by right view. We fabricate the path. And then going deeper, he asks, and are the three aggregates of virtue, concentration, and discernment included under Noble Eightfold Path, lady, or is the Noble Eightfold Path included under the three aggregates of virtue, concentration, and discernment? So Aya says, the three aggregates are not included under Noble Eightfold Path, friend Vishakha, but Noble Eightfold Path is included under the three aggregates. So the how she says is, right speech, right action, and right livelihood come under the aggregate of virtue. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration comes under the aggregate of concentration. Right view and right resolve come under the aggregates of discernment. So here Aya mentions, like, there is a difference how three aggregates are not included under Noble Eightfold Path, but Noble Eightfold Path comes under the three subheadings and are divided amongst the three subheadings of virtue, concentration, and discernment. Some people also see it as discernment, then comes virtue, then comes concentration. And either way, I find it correct, because these paths are not like a straight linear line, but like a circle, which keeps supporting each other. And then under these three headings come Noble Eightfold Path, and such are they divided. Does anybody has anything to come in with? No? Okay, we can go ahead. Now, what is concentration, lady? What qualities are its themes? What qualities are its requisites? and what is its development? Amazing, amazing questions. Wow. As if we would have noted it all. I'll go and this conversation will happen and I'll ask this and that. So beautiful unfolding. And then, okay, coming back to the question, what is concentration, lady? What qualities are its themes? What qualities are its requisites? And what is its development? Singleness of mind is concentration, friend Vishakha. The four establishings of mindfulness are its themes. The four right exertion are its requisites, and any cultivation, development, and pursuit of these qualities is its development. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So beautiful. These are just a big headings. And we all might be familiar with Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the four establishings of mindfulness, the themes that are the four right exertion. They are not that deep, but they are big practices to be cultivated. Easy. Everything's easy, everything's gradual, but very beautiful answer. Fabrication. Now, lady, what are fabrications? These three fabrications, friend Vishakha, bodily fabrication, verbal fabrication, mental fabrications. Oh, should I check in? Does anybody has anything to come in within here? This part?
Hiya. I think I've been taking the meaning of aggregate to mean negative, negative things. And it doesn't seem so when, what made me think this, right action, right speech, right livelihood come under the aggregate of virtue. And so I don't think I'm getting the right meaning of aggregate. I thought aggregate was totally something negative. Does that make sense? I've confused myself there.
Yes, I mean, it might be how you associated with the aggregates before, but there is nothing negative that has been expressed here. And like for the aggregates, five clean aggregates that we were talking about were like a group which exist in general way, but
Yeah, the five aggregates. Yes. Yeah.
like they are just like kind of rules for the samsara, that how where will we be stuck. So what is there to play with? So there are these five aggregates at different times, and how we are indulging or associating with in good or bad ways, it's like we are playing with it. So like there can be some person and we love that person, she's so nice, so great, so wise, etc, etc. And then at the same time there can be another person where you're like, oh, nothing good to talk about. What we are doing, is there anything related to those forms? No, they're just forms. How we are associating with it, how we are perceiving, what were our experiences, what we feel, what consciousness that played role in forming our experience there, that all makes us think about them in certain way, and that's where the self is, that's where we are entangled.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Thank you for clearing that up. So it's more like perception.
And that's why it's like five aggregates are there. We clinging on to them and making something out of it, squeezing them in certain way is how we are suffering, how we are stressing ourselves in trying to understand them. But they are just natural existing things around. Or we, like if there is some tree, we know we don't have to walk into that tree. We can walk around it. Yeah. And we don't have to keep going and hugging. It's just there. Like this body is still there,
Ah,
and I'm using it to sustain, to share Dhamma, to help make life beautiful for some people. I'm just making use of it, but I'm not clinging onto it. I'm not associating it with it in any wrong way that might bring me suffering.
okay, thank you.
Yes, Daniel.
Yeah, I think this was also kind of put in the text chat, but the word for aggregate in Pali is really complicated and rich. There's no one English word that equals kanda. Kanda can be used in so many different ways. And so when he talks about clinging aggregates versus virtuous aggregates, the issue is not the aggregates, the issue is our relationship with them. And, an Arahant has a detached relationship with their aggregates, and we in samsara don't, and we attach to them. So sometimes these can seem a little complicated and confusing, and I experience this too. But I think part of it is because the word kanda can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different contexts. And so we see aggregate and we're thinking like one very particular thing in English, and actually in
Yes.
Pali, it's so many different things.
Oh, thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, for sure.
Helpful. And also like here also in Noble Eightfold Path, they mention the word aggregates, which is again like used as a to represent a group of things, like similar things. So like under virtue, there is right speech, right action, right livelihood comes under virtue aggregate. So again, aggregate is just a common word to represent a similar group of things. Like just mentioning form, now the form can be, for instance, my body, others' body, something from past, present, future, subtle, sublime, strong, gross, big, small, light, all comes under form aggregates. So like that, it's just a group form. Yes. And similarly, feelings, my feelings, your feelings, others' feelings, past feelings, present feelings, future feelings, subtle feelings, gross feelings, strong feelings, not so strong feelings, prominent, not prominent, all just feelings. Same. So like making a group aggregate, calling it a khanda. Okay. Then here comes the need of concentration, the qualities we understand, requisites, the 4 right exertions. Good. What is its development and pursuit? So any cultivation, development, and pursuit of these qualities is its development. Any effort that we put in. So this was the concentration part. Going more down into fabrication. So here, like different translations were choices, and it might be a little different. I haven't been that deep into different translations, but just overview, knowing what they talk about. But moving ahead with this translation, we can see what next question Vishaka asks is, what are bodily fabrications? What are verbal fabrications? What are mental fabrications? So in the subtle, I see ways Aya is guiding very basic kinds of fabrications that helps us also in establishing with jhanas, states of concentration. So here Aya shares, in and out breaths are bodily fabrication. Directed thought and evaluation are verbal fabrications. Perceptions and feelings are mental fabrications. But why are in and out breaths bodily fabrications? Why are directed thoughts and evaluation verbal fabrications? Why are perception and feeling mental fabrication? Now, Vishaka also is trying to go deeper into, why this way? Why this is this, and this is this, and this is this? And Aya very nicely answers, in and out breaths are bodily. These are things tied up with the body. That's why in and out breaths are bodily fabrication. Having first directed one's thought and made an evaluation, one then breaks out into speech. Again, having first directed one's thoughts and made an evaluation, one then breaks out into speech. That's why directed thought and evaluation are verbal fabrications. Perceptions and feelings are mental. These are things tied up with the mind. That's why perceptions and feelings are mental fabrications. Now, lady, how does the attainment of the cessation of perceptions and feelings come about? Now he's like, okay, bodily fabrications, okay. A verbal fabrication, still fine. Please tell me how attainment of the cessation of perceptions and feelings come about. And like, let's say this is the deepest of all, as it is how it is mentioned in different suttas, where like the complete cessation of perception and feelings is where after which one realizes awakening, like liberation and arhantaship, where they are completely separated, like the self has been completely dropped down in the way it is perceiving or feeling anything about and making an experience. Everything has been completely ceased. And this is what now Shaka is asking, how does that attainment comes about? And Aya says, the thought does not occur to a monk as he is attaining the cessation of perception and feelings, that I am about to attain the cessation of perception and feelings, or that I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, or that I have attained the cessation of perceptions and feeling. Instead, the way his mind has previously been developed leads him to that state. Yes, Sharanya.
When we're talking about fabrications, are we talking about sankharas? Is that the Pali word?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and then my understanding of sankhara is that in many ways it's made up by the mind. Is that an understanding of fabrications and sankharas?
Yes. Can say, because like as Buddha says, mind is the base. It's the mind from where we think about something, we evaluate, we break into the speech. It's the mind where we first consider any action before breaking it out through a body. So yes, mind is the foundation where fabrications come up about, the sankharas are constructed, I would say. Anything comes up. Yes, and that's where Vishaka is asking how we can break free from the cessation of perceptions and feelings come about. How does the attainment comes about? And here Aya shares that it does not occur to the person that I am entering into the cessation of perception and feelings, or I am about to attain the cessation of perception and feeling, or I am attaining the cessation of perception and feeling, or I have attained the cessation of perceptions and feelings. Instead, it's like just gradually comes up. Instead, the ways his mind has previously been developed led him to that state. It's like, especially like in Anguttara Nikaya sets of nines, where Lord Buddha talks about jhanas mostly, we can see how he expresses that the mind starts growing subtle and subtle. So, as we were talking about the right resolve, it's about letting go of basically our um, desire or how we relate to sensual pleasure. Like the first resolve is nekham asankappo, which is renunciation. And how to understand the renunciation is, it's like not falling into sensuality. So now sensuality is one thing and sensual pleasure is one thing. So how it is often collected is like sensuality is like the fascination of mind for thinking about the pleasure that comes from different senses. And that fascination or that entanglement of mind in holding on to that this passion, one needs to be able to renounce that part especially. And the more the mind is separating itself from the sensuality, it starts connecting with some subtle pleasures which are not related to sensuality. And those are the pleasure coming from jhanas, connecting with the breath, staying separate from sensuality and hindrances. One naturally connects with the pleasure that comes in being aware of the body or the themes that comes in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, and that singleness of mind, that equanimity. Those things, as we rise up and up and up and up, knowing that, oh, there is more subtle pleasure, and I want to reach there. More subtle, more subtle, more subtle. And the more deeper the mind stays there, practices there, rejoices and nourishes itself there, the more gradually it rises above and reaches this state, as Venerable Avera Dhammadinnā is mentioning, that the mind, the way his mind has previously been developed, leads him to the cessation of perceptions and feelings come about. So this is how it is to be understood here, that it's how we practices the right resolve with right view, and how we keep on abandoning our fascination for sensual pleasures, our interest in sensuality, and developing the subtle forms of sensual pleasures which comes from jhanas. We slowly rise into the subtle pleasures until we connect with the complete cessation of perception and feelings in its entirety. So it's like a gradual practice again to be developed and cultivated. So moving forward, you have something to say, Elaine?
No, but I think I'm good. Yeah, I was thinking about the cessation of doubt, and instead of thinking I'll have liberation in the future, it's just kind of a knowing, just being confident in the path.
Mm.
So that was just a reflection.
Thank you for sharing your reflection. Yes, and it's all intervened in the path. It's just getting, it just keep getting subtle and subtle, deeper and deeper. Well, we have reached a good point of cessation of perception and feelings, and also we have reached 2:30, which is our time. And I'm so surprised that it went so fast this afternoon. And how about we take a break here, because it's still a long sutta that would be following. Or another option is we can read through it and keep it the discussion for later time. How would you?
Good, Aya.
I
I had a question for you. How long are you in Dharmadharini, and can we ask for you to come back and lead more sutta discussions?
So sweet of you to ask that. I am here for the Vasa, so
Okay.
I'm here till October, and I'm not sure how we would be planning the Sutta studies, but surely I would love to come back. And maybe we can complete the sutta for the next weekend in that case, if that's how it unfolds.
I would like to second that desire. This was very helpful. I really enjoyed it.
very, very, very helpful. Yeah, I got a lot out of this. Thank you. And
Yeah,
the,
Northern.
reflect-
Oh, go ahead.
the reflections that other Sangha members had are also helpful.
Yes, yes. The questions, the sharing, everything was so beautiful, so deeply nourishing. And it just had a strike into the great discussion that unfolded. So happy. So happy that everybody benefited. And so happy that how also Vishakha in the later part of the sutta was benefited. And somehow on having conversation with Ayya Dhammadinā, he also went to Lord Buddha, and where Lord Buddha also says, "Oh, Dhammadinā, you see, she's very wise. If you would have asked the same questions to me, I would have responded in the same ways." So we are also appreciating how Ayya Dhammadinā very kindly, compassionately guided Vishakha, and how beautifully the Sangha kept this in the Majjhima Nikaya part, so that today we are discussing here and enduring the benefits from the Dhamma that has been offered so compassionately. So maybe knowing this good turn and reaching the cessation of perception and feelings, we can take a break here and try to practice the Dhamma that we have reflected upon, and try to separate the self from the aggregates, however much we can. Yes. May the Dhamma unfold well for you all. May you have peaceful abiding. May your sensitivity grow. And may you be guided, well guided by Dhamma, your right view and right results, the discernment part, well supported by concentration and virtue as well. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for all those who were there. I see some messages in the chat. I can stop sharing here and connect with the chat. Oh, thank you, yeah. Yes, yes. See you next weekend, everyone. Thank you for joining. Yes. Many blessings and metta.